Just stop right there. He says, the one without sin, throw the first stone. You know what he's doing? He's doing just like me and little man had the conversation. Listen to me, gentlemen. I know you've lied. I know you've sinned. You know you've sinned. Let's just bring it out to the open, right? Any without sin, throw the first stone. What you got? I know who you are. You know who you are. Let's not front this, right? You can't fool me because I know what's happening here. My son couldn't fool me that he accidentally hit the roof of the football. No, you got to aim that way to hit the roof. You know you lying. No. You know you knew where this woman was because you've been there too. You probably knew this woman, Pharisee. You know what I'm saying? You know it and I know it. Let's not play games here. You throw the first stone you think you're without sin. Go ahead. No takers? But these Pharisees, they made the biggest mistake of their lives right there. They did what my little man did because they thought they were caught in it. They knew that he knew, so they ran with it. They turned and tucked tail. Instead of running and crawling to the feet of Jesus, to the one who loves them, who would give everything for them, his very life, they ran and hid. And I promise you, where they went, they got filthy with it, just like my boy did underneath the bed. And don't judge me for our cleaning skills, people. We got 3 boys to raise. That is the last priority on our list, pulling out the furniture and doing that thing. I promise you, we got some bigger stuff going on. But these Pharisees, where they ran to out of God's presence, they got nasty with it. How I know? Because not a couple chapters later, they hanging the innocent one on a cross. I'm talking, you got to have a pretty filthy heart to do that, to know that this man has done nothing wrong, and yet you stir the crowd up and say, crucify him. What's happened to you? You got some stuff hanging on you. You got some nastiness. You went and ran from God, and you got in a whole world of trouble, and you coming out, and you filthy with it. And all of your actions show it. Your heart is coming through. Crucify him. Where do you think they found that at? I promise you it wasn't in the presence of God. It was because they ran from him. Right? All right. So, you know the end of the story. Jesus looks up and goes, daughter, is there no one left to accuse you? She says, no, sir, not one. Neither do I accuse you. Go and sin no more. That right there is what the Pharisees could have got. But they ran away from God instead of running to God. But I know. It looks fine to run. Sometimes that looks like the path to take, right? I mean, we justify it like, it's open. Like the trundle was slid out. I can just make my way under. The doors are open. God is good. I found my way. My heart's desire, it's there. It's always there. I promise you, when you decide to run from God, you got a little tempter helping you along the way. Oh, if he should see you turn your face, turn your back on God, I promise you, he's going to make a way open for you that's going to look good, right? That's going to look like it's meant to be. Always it does. Be careful with this. Just because the door's open don't mean you're supposed to be walking through it, because you got an adversary out there who will more than be happy to lead you down the wrong path. I promise you. He'll open doors that should have been locked on you because you decided not to walk towards God. You decided to run from him instead. Look what I'm saying. We've seen it. Jonah played out. Jonah 1, verse 1. Then the word of the Lord came to Jonah, son of Amittai. Go to the great city of Nineveh and preach against it, because its wickedness has come up before me. Like that's what God's directive is towards him, right? But Jonah ran away from the Lord. He didn't say yes and press into God. He ran away from the Lord. And wouldn't you know it, and luck would have it, right? He ran away and headed for Tarshish. He went down to Joppa, where he found a ship. Must be God's will. I found a ship. I don't want to do what God said, but lo and behold, there's a ship going away from the very place I didn't want to go. It must be a sign. It must be what I'm supposed to be doing. And we justify we found a ship. You always gonna find a ship when you run from God. I promise you. Or God's decrees, or his directives, or his ways, or his counsel, or his law, or his grace. You always going to find a ship. I promise. How I know? Because you're going to have a helper there. You and your old lady get in a fight and you run out, I promise you, it ain't going to be too hard to find a girl. It's just not going to be. Why? Somehow, some way, you're going to find a ship. And it may not be the ship you want to be on, right? This ship may get you into all sorts of trouble. The storms may swirl like crazy. You may be going into a tempest there, right? But you found a ship. When the whole time you should have had your butt at home and you wouldn't have to worry about the storms welling up on you. But you found a ship, so you just, it must be. And you reason to yourself, you talk yourself into it, it must be God's will. I found a ship. You're always going to find a ship when you run from God because you got one who wants you to run from God. Why? Because if you run, you impotent, you powerless. He can get you into a whole heap of trouble and he can bring you out filthy with it because when he gets you on board, baby, you ain't coming off easily. You're going to be in a whole world of trouble. The storms are going to well up and you are going to have a hell of a time getting off. Dun-dun-dun, no pun intended. So I want to caution us that just because doors are open, walking away or running from God does not mean they are ones to walk through. Be careful. Be careful, like your heart better be turned because problems follow. Because when you crawl in those little hidden holes, when you get into that darkness, you don't know what's under there. My son had no idea he came out so filthy with it, right? You have no idea the trap you're about to walk into when you run from God. And you ain't coming out clean from it. I'm sorry. You're not.